Hey everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we are working on Christmas Time from Graphic 45. It's one of the latest releases from Graphic, and we're on page 8. Page 8 is going to have the same mechanisms as page 1, so we've already done this once before, so this should be pretty straightforward. And I've got things loosely laid out. We're going to have these three red dividers across the page. We've got a double flap here and a pocket here. So let's go ahead and set these papers aside. It goes together, and these go together. Okay, so we're gonna need two flaps, and these are 5 by 8. 5 by 8, you're gonna score 1/2 inch on the 5-inch side. You're gonna need 2 of those, and they're gonna go together like so. So they're gonna open left and right. And then we're going to have one pocket on this side, and this pocket is 5 by 4.5. So it's 5 by 4.5, and you're going to score on 3 sides. You're going to turn the 2 sides in first, and then tuck in the bottom and add your tape. Okay, so now we got our measurements and we've got tape on everything. So the next thing we're going to do is, I'll burnish this all real quick. I actually went a little bit off the edge here, so I need to be careful when I lay it down that I get that tucked back under. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn it over to page 7 and make sure it's right side up. That's the top, that's the bottom. And then we're going to add these strips to the left and right hand side. And that's how we're going to start this page. Okay, I'm using just a little ink to knock off the white core. And I'm using powder puff in mahogany. Okay. I think I need to shorten that. I should have dry fit it first, and I didn't. So I'm going to shorten that. It looks like I didn't. I need to check the others before I lay them down. I didn't get it trimmed to 7 7/8. Good grief. I'm having trouble getting that on straight. Okay, that's good. Now let's dry fit this, make sure. Yep, I think I need to trim it. Let's look. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna turn it to the side so I can get a better view. Looks good. Okay, looks good. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay down one of these flaps, and we're going to lay down the one next to the red strip this way, and then we'll add this one like so. So let's go ahead and dry fit it, and I'm turning it sideways so I can see it. And just a minute, I almost put that in the wrong side. It actually needs to go on this side. It needs to go on the left side. Left side. Okay. I think we won't need our glue for a little bit, so I'll put the cap on. Now we're going to lay the scored edge right next to this red border. There we go, looks good. Nice and smooth. And now the next thing we're gonna do is add our center red strip. Now we're gonna use the edge of this flap as the guide to lay the center strip in. Go. So we're going to push this into place. It's too high up. And I should have dry fitted first. It looks like it's a little too long. So let's see. Okay, I shortened it just a little bit. And it's very warm here in San Diego. My glue is drying so fast. I have to reapply it. Okay, let's do that one more time. Oh, I forgot to ink the edge. You can really see that white jump out at you, especially against the black. Much better. Okay, there we go. Okay, and we're just using that flap to determine where to lay that strip. Now it's in. I'm going to double check my orientation. That is still the top and this is the bottom. So now we can put this pocket in and it's going to go right here. And it looks like I got a little tab here, so I'm going to go ahead and trim it off. Okay, when I was putting the tape down, I kind of came over the edge a little far, so I'm going to make sure it's rolled over so it doesn't pick anything up after I install it. There we go. Okay, there we go. It's nice. Nice, nice, nice. Put that in. Okay, so the last thing is we're going to take this flap, open this one, we're going to lay it down, and then we're going to push it closed to find its natural location. By doing that, we know that it'll close. So that's one of the reasons I like to install my flaps this way. You don't have to do it this way, but I know it'll close. One of the other things you can do is make your interior flap 1/4 inch smaller than your exterior flap, and that will solve your problem as well. Now, when I lay it down on this flap, I just want to make sure it's completely flush, top to bottom, before I close it. There we go. Pretty easy, right? Okay, now we need to add our magnets, and we're going to close it this way, which is the same way we did page 1. And I think, let's go back and look. Yeah, page 1 opened away from the center, which would be this would be the center. So I'll add a magnet on the edge here. There we go. And then this is a pocket, so we are definitely going to have a tag that fits right in here. Okay, and then this is what I've chosen for the primary pattern here. I'm going to use this for the pocket, and this is going to be the backdrop of the pocket. So those are the pieces I'm going to lay in. So let's get started with this one. I was just looking at it to see if I had inked the edges, and I have. By the way, this pattern is from the 12 by 12 collection pack. Okay, there's our A side. Let's get our pocket covered. For some reason it wasn't trimmed straight. There it is. Better. Okay, and then this is going to slip slightly inside the pocket, and I'm just gonna tuck it in. We're gonna get a look at it, make sure it's the right width. I think I can take a little bit off. Okay, and then we're gonna have a tag in this pocket, which I don't know what I'm gonna cover it with at the moment. So I'm just gonna put it in there as a placeholder. And so we need to work on the inside of this flap mechanism. So I'm going to stop right here. Maybe I'll do this green, let's see. Yeah, I kind of like that. That might be what I do. We'll see. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to line up the rest of the papers to go on the inside and figure out what I'm going to do with the tag. And when I get back, we'll finish up this page. Again, this is page 8, Christmas Time, Graphic 45's latest collection. I'll be back soon. Hey everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we are finishing up our Christmas Time album. And this is page 8, and I'm working on the B side of page 8, and I think I've got everything trimmed out and ready to go. I chose this to go on top of the tag, but I haven't put it down because I'm really hemming and hawing. I'm not crazy about that pattern yet. So we'll see. I have duplicated the cover It's the same pattern, but it's just a different location on the 12 by 12 pad. So I use part of it here and part of it here. And again, that's from the 12 by 12 pad. And then on the inside, I'm using this pattern, which is from the 8 by 8 collection pack. And these two are from the Patterns and Solids. And again, we're on page 8. I'm gonna put the centerpiece down, and I'm thinking about color blocking these so that I can do some contrast on it, and I haven't decided yet. But so let's go ahead and put this in, because this is definitely gonna be a solid piece. Again, this piece that I'm installing right now is from the 8 by 8 collection pack. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna set these aside for the moment. Let's go ahead and install this piece, because there's no, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. We're definitely not gonna color block it. Okay, I was just doing a quick dry fit, make sure it fits. It does. Okay, that's in. Okay, now we've got some decisions to make about this. So I went ahead and mocked up a couple strips just to look and see, you know, what I think about it. So there's two things. We can either cut this up and color block it, or we can add these decorative strips. And then of course the other way would be to have this pattern up and have a solid strip. And I'm kind of going back and forth. I like this a lot, but then when I think about like putting a photo here, I'm not so sure. Actually, I kind of like it. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll do it this way. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut 1 inch off here on both edges. Okay, so I cut 1 inch off the bottom, and now I'm going to cut 1 inch off the top. There we go. And now this leaves me with this piece, which I'm now going to cut 1/2 inch off either end. Okay, and then this is going to go down like this. So that is the current plant. So that's one look. The other way would be to flip these. So again, inch, 1/2 inch, and then that would be the body. Actually, I like this better. I think that the other way is a little bit too bold. So now I had trimmed these down to fit perfectly. Now they're not going to fit because I'm going to have this line of black between each one of the pieces of paper. So this centerpiece is going to need to get trimmed down. So as usual, we're going to lay in our smaller pieces first, and then we're going to lay this in and figure out how much to trim that down. And then we'll repeat that process on the other panel. So this is probably one of the easiest ways to color block, is to trim the paper out to fit the space and then cut it into pieces and alternate your pattern. It's especially easy when you're using patterns and solids. It just sort of lends itself to this. So just so you know, you can do it on the other pattern papers, but you got to be a little bit careful about which patterns you choose, because on the flip side, they don't always look that great together. So something to keep in mind. Okay, this can be a little bit challenging because it's not a flat surface, because we've already got the A side decorated and the pockets already in. So, okay. Okay, now I'm going to flip the whole thing around. And we're going to do this side. Okay, now we've got a large piece, and as you can see, it's a little bit oversized. So I'm going to trim this down, and we'll lay this in, and then we're going to repeat the process, like I said. So I'm going to close that right now. Get that out of the way. Now, because there's an opportunity for these strips to go in less than square, I'm going to put a mark on both sides. So if I have to cut it at an angle to get it to look square, this is my last chance, okay? Hopefully it is in straight, but if it's not, I'll see that when I lay it into the trimmer. Let's see how we did. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and ink the edges that we just trimmed. Dry fit it one more time. Looks good. I got a little bit of pencil on it, so I'm going to take that off. There we go. Okay, doesn't that look nice? And then it looks a little bit like racing stripes, but that's okay. And then if we have a photo to put on top of it, it would look something like this, right? And you could also raise it and then use this as a little journaling spot down here, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing on the flip side. We're gonna take an inch off, a half inch, an inch off, and a half inch. And you could actually do it all continuously. You don't, because there's no distinction in the pattern, you can take an inch, a half inch, and then you'll come up with the same thing. But if it had a specific pattern or a pattern that wasn't repeating, you might want to take it off both ends so you get a more even layout. Okay, just doing a little cleanup. Got my strips all trimmed out, and then the main body. So let's get the edges that I just trimmed inked. Alrighty. Wow. Okay, and now we'll do a 1/2 inch. It's arbitrary, could have done any size I wanted, just I chose these sizes because I think they're easy to handle. You get much smaller than a 1/2 inch and it's very hard to get the paper end straight. And it's also very hard to get an accurate cut in the trimmer. So that's where I came up with this. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, looks good. Okay, now last thing is we're going to trim this out to fit. A little bit more. Perfect. Now I was flipping it around because it's not perfectly square, so I knew it was going to go in one way better than the other because I had to trim at a very, very slight angle. I'm going to demonstrate that before I glue it down. And that's why I put a mark on both edges. So if you look at it this way, that looks pretty good. But I think if you go this way, you can see that it's slightly wider here than here, and it's very insignificant, but it just takes a little bit of effort to flip it around the other way, and then you get what looks like more of a even gap. Okay. So think about that. Sometimes when you put it in the trimmer and then bring it back to your workspace, you do a rotation on it. Not deliberately, it just happens. That's why I always dry fit and check it both ways to see which one looks best. You can't trim it after you glue it down. Carefully keep that off my paper. Okay, let's see, it goes this way and this way. That's it. So the last thing is we need to cover this tag, and I mean, this works. I'm just not crazy about it. So I'm going to take a minute and look around, see what other scraps I have, and see if I can find something I feel better about. So I'll be right back. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I am going to use the paper that I had originally planned. I looked and I just don't see anything I like better, so we are going to stay with this. And let's get this all inked. And did I already ink it? Yes, I did. So I think all I need to do is a little interior circle, and then we'll put this down. I think I had too much caffeine. I'm really jittery this morning. Okay, morning, afternoon, it's getting late. Okay, I just love these tag dies. I was not a big fan of the tags until they came out with the die, because it bothered me that I couldn't cover the top of the tag and the grommet hole, but now you can because they make the dies and I love them. Okay, so that is it for page 8. Let's take a look. There we go. I'm liking it, liking it, liking it. So I've got some more work to do in terms of embellishing the overall album, but that is the end of page 8. So thanks everybody for hanging in there with me. I hope you're enjoying this tutorial. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I'll be back soon. Bye.